Hi, my name's Stuart. My nickname's Stuman. This is my new YouTube channel, StumanRides, and I get a chance to ride the BMW HP4 Race. Today we're here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the California Superbike School. This is the BMW HP4 Race. Pretty crazy motorcycle. This thing is like all carbon fiber, and the biggest deal about this bike is its weight. The bike is 322 pounds dry, 377 pounds fully wet. So they only made 750 of these things. The bike has 215 horsepower, 88 foot-pounds of torque, 14.5 redline, and the entire bike is hand-built. You can see the carbon on this thing is just insane. It's like every part on the bike is carbon, all super high-end components, and as I said, the whole bike is hand-built in Germany. Yeah, it's a ridiculous motorcycle. So I'll tell you a little bit more about the parts. All right, so a little more about the bike. Number one, as you can see, this thing's carbon everywhere. Full carbon frame. Full carbon, the self-supporting fairing stay. So this is pretty interesting. The whole ram air tube actually supports this whole front fairing, and it's all made of carbon. Check out the wheels. These things are just silly carbon, twisted spokes, front fender, carbon. Everything on this bike that you can think of that should be carbon is carbon. Carbon huggers. So like you buy this bike, you don't need to spend money on buying carbon parts because it's got them all. The craziest thing is this frame. You can see the carbon weave on this thing. The whole rear subframe is carbon, all the bodywork, everything on this bike is as light as it could possibly be. Other cool stuff about the bike, up here up at the headstock, we have machined triple clamps, a little carbon plate on them to tell you what bike number you got. We have an adjustable offset. We also have adjustable rake. So there's an insert down here in the frame that you can change the rake on the front end, and you can change the offset of the front end by switching out these inserts. Everything on this bike is as adjustable as it could possibly be. So you can adjust the swing arm pivot by changing the insert here to change your height of the swing arm pivot. The subframe height is actually changeable, so you can move this whole subframe up and down. Rear sets are adjustable, multiple positions for the pegs, so you can set this thing up, multiple positions for the whole rear set. Everything on this bike as adjustable as you can be. Again, it's really focused around weight. All the little nuts and bolts that you see on the outside here, everything's titanium. So saving every ounce possible. And of course, you have all the best componentry that you could put on a motorcycle, from an automatic shifter, automatic blipper as well, so upshifts and downshifts are completely clutchless. We have super high-end Öhlins suspension, so Öhlins shock in the back, and then if you check out these forks, these things are just ridiculous. Gas-charged Öhlins Superbike forks, the highest spec Brembo brakes that are available to a consumer. Everything on this bike is just about the best that you could possibly think of putting on a motorcycle.
Hi, I'm Dylan Code with the California Superbike School, and I'm just going to show you around the HP4R a little bit. First off, you want to turn the thing on. There's this nice big toggle switch. Pretty simple. The cool thing about it is you can't accidentally flip it off. You actually have to pull it to set it down and turn it off, so that's just a little detail there. What we see here is the dash, obviously, and there's different dashes. This one's going to be an engineer's display, and you can change between dashes. If we go over to the buttons on the left side, there's one in the rear. So if we press that once, then we're going to get the rider's dash, and this is the one that you really want to concern yourself with. It gives you your gear, how much engine braking, how much traction control, and the map that you're in, as well as water temp, and of course you're going to have your RPM and lap timer as well. And it's got an arrow there, meaning it's active. You want to change that, and you can do that while you're riding. You go over to these green and red buttons that are over on the left side, and you can reduce it. So that's going to make it freewheel more, and then we can increase it, which is really going to kind of feel like maybe you're dragging the rear brake while you're riding. It essentially helps the bike hook and turn into the corner. Below it says Dry 2, and you've got 4 basic modes or maps, and those are changed over on the right side. You press the blue button twice, and it will scroll through the different maps. As you can see, this is wet. Hit the button again, and it will go to intermediate. So that's your mixed conditions, wet and dry. Hit it again, it'll go to dry 1. And that's going to give you a good amount of power. However, it's going to be held back a certain amount. Let's say you're just going out, you're warming up, and you don't want full power. And then dry 2 would be full power, and that's a little misleading because full power doesn't mean that you get 100% power in every gear. Because the bike has so much power, it's going to reduce the amount of, I guess they call it torque, that it's going to release in first gear, because it's just going to be wasted if you get 100%. All 215 horsepower in first gear is just going to go skyward. So each map will have a gradient of the amount of power that it gives you in each gear. And that's the basic overview of it. There's another couple things. It won't let you rev over 4,000 if the water temperature is below 70 degrees Celsius, so that's nice. You can't just start it up cold and hammer it. The 2D dash is actually, it's quite nice because it is a race dash. It's not something that is adapted to also be for street, so a lot of the other distractions and elements that you might get on a street bike aren't present. And I guess the coolest thing about this bike is it's a race bike experience. It really is so close to a World Superbike that it's quite special. And that's your little walk around of the HP4's electronics.
All right, so I get to go out on one of these beautiful S1000 RRs just so I can figure out which direction the tractor goes. Also give me kind of a baseline to see how this bike compares to the HP4 Race. Now that I've ridden the S1000 RR for a bit, let's jump on the HP4 Race and see what this thing can do. This thing is crazy, insanely fast, super light, does everything that you would want a motorcycle to do. It's just absolutely insane. I'm at a loss for words. All right, so just got off of the HP4 Race. The motorcycle's amazing. Everything about this bike is everything that you would want a motorcycle to do, it almost does automatically for you. The bike turns incredibly well. It transitions so quick from left to right because of the weight. You can make the thing switch directions in an instant. The electronics are really the most impressive thing. You can change the engine brake mapping while you're riding, so you can dial in or out engine braking. You can dial in or out traction control. It's an absolutely amazing motorcycle. I've never been on anything like this before. I've ridden a lot of motorcycles in the past, and this by far is certainly the fastest motorcycle around a road race track. I've been on bikes, turbo ZX14s with more horsepower, but as far as a sport bike goes, the power on this thing is just amazing. You can feel the traction control working coming off the corners. It starts popping. You can hear it in action, so you're not afraid to twist the throttle a little bit harder. I got comfortable enough on this bike in a short period of time to start even sliding the rear tire just a little bit coming off the corners. Wheelie control works incredibly well. Launch control works incredibly well, even though I didn't do that great a job at it. No, I cannot say enough positive things about the bike. It's just amazing. Absolutely, by far the best motorcycle I've ever been on.